Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, your favorite Star Trek podcast. My name is Caitlin, and with me today are...
Jake.
Chair.
Thank you, Chair. This is Ames. And
Carl.
Mirror
Hello.
Carl is here.
Fuck, I meant to make a mirror joke. Shit.
Chair is still good. I appreciate
This is footstool.
Chair.
Table. Yeah, table's the opposite of chair, right?
Yeah,
Sounds right.
absolutely.
As long as you're not a couch.
Keep J.D. Vance away from me.
Relevant political humor.
That guy's so weird.
He's not weird, Carl. You're weird, Carl. Well, anyway,
Weird is like saying the N-word.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
By the way, I'd like to, before we start, apologize for killing the Democracy Manifest guy. We recorded that, like, literally days before his passing. So, just like we undid the mooch, we also murdered this poor old man who just wanted a succulent Chinese meal. And I am so sorry.
What we do.
we're talking about A Mirror Darkly. In A Mirror Darkly?
Yes.
Parts 1 and 2. Enterprise. Mirror episode. Wow, what a mistake.
No.
Oh, man. I thought it was... Guys, I didn't like it. But summary...
I won't be the hater. I love this.
I just thought it was stupid. Well, to summarize the plot as best as I can, because I mostly found it confusing, we start in the Mirror Universe, and Archer is number 1 to Admiral Forrest, who, you know, as we know, died. His prime man in our universe died. And Archer finds out that the Tholians may be hiding some super great tech that could save the Terran Empire. So he wants to go and fetch it, and Forrest is like, nah. And Archer's like, well, in that case, mutiny, and takes over the ship. They go into Tholian space after torturing a Tholian for a while to get the coordinates. Very cool, Archer. I just want to point out, though, that means that Mirror Archer and regular Archer are literally the same.
Exactly the same as season 3 Archer.
Yeah, and also, like, angry Archer. Like, I was like, this isn't what Mirror. Shouldn't he be, like, really, like, nice and, like, I don't know. But
with much more whispering into your face.
He's terrible. The acting. We can't get there.
We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, so he takes over the ship, goes into Tholian space. They find the Defiant. They take to the Defiant. The Enterprise, ISS Enterprise, gets blowed up. So now everybody's.
Oh no, Forrest.
Yeah, well.
Again.
You know, everybody's on the Defiant.
Oh no, Porthos.
The Tholians on the Defiant.
Evil Porthos.
We get on the Defiant, and we find that there are several things on the Defiant which are Defiant, including Tholian Tholians who are running the ship and are not super happy to help. But also, there's a naughty little Gorn boy hiding in the ship, sabotaging stuff and blowing up Makos. No, not Makos. He blew up...
No, they're still
Makos. Reed is a Mako.
Yeah, but there's an engineer that he kills with the... drive or whatever. That's how they figure out there's a problem.
Mirror Kelby.
Kelby, that's it, yeah.
Yeah.
So R.I.P. Mirror Kelby.
Just as whiny as normal Kelby.
Gorn. Oh, what a regrettable Gorn. And there's a great fight between Scott, I'm phoning it way the fuck in today, Bakula, and Gorny, I'm a terrible piece of CG shit, McGorn. And so that happens. I don't even know, a whole bunch of bullshit. And then, I forgot to mention that Hoshi is the captain's woman. At the beginning, she floats from Forrester to Archer, and then she kills the shit out of Archer and declares herself Empress. The end.
Like, the Empress.
The Empress. With, like, the most... Like, I honestly was like, wait, it's done? You're rolling credits? Are you serious? It's over? I was so confused.
Well,
so anyway,
they
that's
expected
my.
to bring it back next season, but next season got canceled.
I thought that they
Good.
knew by now that they weren't
Oh,
bringing
actually,
it back.
I do have a note on that because I think last week we mistakenly said that they knew during filming that they were canceled, but
Wait, so are you?
they learned during filming of Archer's big rallying speech to the Avenger is when they
Really?
learned they were canceled. I think last week we were confused because there was a different point where this was the episode after they aired where they knew they were canceled, but this is when they were filming and they knew they were canceled.
Okay.
So you're
I
telling
see.
me Scott Bakula was phoning it in that bad, and he thought
mean-
that he might still have a job next week, month, year?
No,
Okay, well-
I mean, he's just what he is. And in very slight defense of his performance in the Gorn fight, it's hard to look cool when you're fighting someone in a green lycra suit.
Yeah,
Oh, I know.
if they even had that.
I think they
who
did two
knows?
takes. I think they did a take with an actual person to fill in, and they did takes with nothing,
Yeah,
which
like
is
I was
just
thinking
like
there's
what
just
the
air.
shit.
And you could tell he was just punching air and trying to stop in roughly the same place every time.
It
Oh
looked
yeah,
real dumb.
that was. I felt
That-
bad for him. But you're
that-
right. That's not his fault. I mean,
That was a big swing and a miss. The Gorn just should have been a guy in a shitty rubber costume. Because that really, I think, just would have fit so well with the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
And its absolute camp goofiness.
Yeah, if they bring back the original, like, not Enterprise, but Defiant Bridge, but effectively the Enterprise Bridge,
Yeah.
like, there was a lot of concern, evidently, that they were like, is this going to look bad that we're using a bridge, like, design from the 60s and it's going to look like cardboard walls compared to anytime we flip over to the Avenger and it looks like, you know, the 2000s ship that we've been watching? But they went with it, and I think, yeah, in that case, old Gorn would be fine. Like, you're
Yeah.
fitting the aesthetic.
Yeah, I also I feel like they did their best to mask the cardboard walls by lighting the bridge way dimmer than they would have back in the TOS days, or even as much as they lit the Avenger bridge. But honestly, you just, for something this dumb, you just sit back and accept it, you know? You're like, yeah, no, of course.
You know, Yeah. honestly, it didn't bother me at all. Like, the
Yeah.
fact that the bridge was a TOS era bridge, because my assumption is just, yeah, there was a design aesthetic that was around in the mid, 23rd century, and this
Yeah.
is what it was.
I mean, it looks, I've said before, yeah, it's easier just to imagine the NX-1 bridge as a prequel to the movie Constitution bridge. But either way, both bridges, the TOS and movie bridges look more comfortable than the NX-1 bridge. I think because it's so just designed to look like bare metal and small, sort of uncomfortable, it just looks like you're not as comfy. And by the mid-ish 23rd century, they could have a comfier looking bridge. So yeah, they painted over the metal and shit. So,
Yeah, I was really impressed. Actually, it looked to me, the Defiant Bridge looked better than the fully rebuilt Enterprise D bridge in Picard looked. Even though I know the Picard bridge is more accurate, it looks less accurate, even though it is more accurate for some reason.
I'm gonna say it's because they're still in they're in 16:9 here, whilst in Picard they're in 3:1. So the
Sure.
shape of the screen makes you see way more of it at once.
that's probably, yeah. Good call.
I might be brilliant or insane. Or in
definitely
the mirror universe, both. Where both is the option.
I don't know what it is, but it definitely, this bridge does jump over the uncanny valley for me in a way that other bridge didn't, for whatever reason.
So I want to actually give credit to Scotty a little.
Scotty Bakula?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I thought you meant Mr. Scott.
I love, Archer's so fucked up, because, his version of good Archer is such a deeply, angry man. It's how do you make the evil version of that? And basically, he just made the biggest loser in space. This is Archer without his Nepo baby status. We don't know what Henry did in this universe, but clearly it wasn't enough to get his kid. I mean, the fact that he got his kid to Commander is something. But there's this moment on the Defiant Bridge when their power is down and it seems like they are fucked. And Bakula literally just has his face in his hands and he is rocking back and forth like an infant.
Oh, I
Like,
missed this moment.
Yeah, Commander Archer is just the biggest. Like, Prime Archer is an asshole. Mirror Archer is like just this pathetic, mewling little baby shit. Which you could say so is Prime Archer, but in a different way.
Yeah, like I'm not actually seeing much of a difference, so.
Prime Archer is a private school boy who, like, has gotten everything he feels like he deserves. Whereas, like, Mirror Archer is some, like, weird, sad, grasping guy who never gets that extra bump to get what he thinks he's earned. So it just makes him all the more ridiculous. And there's just something wonderful about, like, the basically perpetual scowl and the funny little, like, spiked haircut they
the
gave him.
haircut was dumb.
It's so bad. I love... for all that Enterprise has been a disappointment, this is still as entertaining as I remember. This is maybe the one thing that I still like, no, I was right about this at least. This episode is so stupid, it's amazing.
Yeah, I have never seen Enterprise before watching it for your coverage. And
I am so sorry.
It's, you know what, it needed to happen. I appreciate it, because I needed to have an opinion on it.
Rip off that Band-Aid.
And yeah. And one thing, I actually really liked this episode, in part because, the thing, I sort of feel bad that this is the version of Scott Bakula you're seeing. Because if you watched him on Quantum Leap, like I did in the early 90s, him and Dean Stockwell were really, really in sync. And, I feel like Scott Bakula is an actor who can make choices. And if he doesn't, it ends up kind of generic, which is kind of what we got on Enterprise. But I have a theory about this performance, and I kind of think this is similar to what you're saying, Chris. I think he is trying to ape Adolf Hitler a little bit. Because think about it, in the Prime universe, Archer is this great soldier who, whatever asshole things he did, he learned the value of collaboration. So in the Mirror universe, what's the opposite of that is Hitler. And like Hitler, if you watch him, he just like slouches around like an asshole and just like spits out like syllables. And that's basically sort of what, especially in that scene with the on the Avenger, like that's so Hitler. And
the rocking.
Yeah,
that's so Hitler.
Coming to the Disney Channel.
Well, and I mean, honestly, too, that actually fits in with the rocking back and forth thing, because Hitler was... Huh?
Yeah, like the rocking, it's very, very Hitler.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, is that what Carl was literally just saying? Sorry, Carl.
No, I by all accounts, he was like this, he would jump between, like, his weird version of charisma and, like, complete panic and fear. I don't know how you all felt about this, but I kind of think that the good Archer voice in his head who taunts him is kind of a stroke of genius.
Oh, I hated it.
Because, yeah.
I hated it. It felt unnecessary.
Maybe. I think what I liked about it is it kind of... the thing about Mirror Archer is he can't stand this idea of a multi-species alliance. Like, he gets really mad at even the concept. Just in the way that, like, big racists get mad at that concept. Yeah. And if watching the plotting of this episode, which I think is not perfect, but, just when he discovers that his mirror is like a multiculturalist, he is so enraged and goes like so deeply into xenophobia and is eventually destroyed.
That's interesting. I have the opposite take on that, because I thought him seeing like his mirror self taunting him was like when he learned that his mirror self from the Prime timeline has been more successful than him. And he's made it to more roles. He's more respected as a leader. He's he got the command of the Enterprise, where this Archer never got command of the Enterprise except briefly by throwing Forrest in the brig. And I feel like the taunting self in his head is just there to say, "Oh, you'll never be like me. You'll never be like me." And that's what forces him to actually like be ambitious and want to change things. That's what I got out of that. And it felt, mostly those scenes felt like telling and not showing in that regard.
What I found interesting, though, is that, like, he can't actually comprehend Prime Archer. So even though in his mind he's seeing his sort of successful Prime counterpart, it's clearly still just his own internal monologue.
Yeah.
You know, like he gets that Archer somehow created this alliance and that was part of his success. But because he can't comprehend the Federation, he like, because that would have been a problem, is if like the Archer in his head was actually Prime Archer, but it is clearly just his own words, but coming out of a man whose existence taunts him. So that was, I thought, good, because they could have easily fallen into the trap of just having it be Prime Archer, and that would not make sense.
Oh, that would make no sense. Yeah, I agree with that. This is one of very few episodes in which, you don't see your actual characters anywhere in the show. You see no one from the Prime Universe who's still alive. You see some corpses. And you never, and it's also the second part is the only episode of Enterprise where there are no scenes on an Enterprise.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. What I found pretty funny was that, like, they've mentioned him several times since Vance was killed, but this is the first time we've seen Admiral Black, and it's not actually, it's Mirror Admiral Black.
That was Gardner.
We see both.
We saw both.
Oh, we saw both. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, Black is the one that Archer disintegrated.
I see.
So yeah, we don't even know, like, because we only have 3 episodes left, Hosanna, and I don't remember if we see Prime Black, so I don't know if he has a beard or not in the Prime universe.
We do know that that Saval, in keeping with Mirror Vulcan tradition, has a goatee.
That's a good touch. I like that.
Yeah.
Was it a goatee or a full beard?
It was a very thick goatee, but I'm pretty sure it was still a goatee.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I thought he had, like, all over, but...
Mutton chops.
No, his was far less sculpted than Spock's.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in his defense, like, it sort of seems like the Vulcans are being treated like third-class citizens. Maybe he couldn't get his hands on good manscaping tools, Well,
I just think that was just the look in the early 2000s, was a shrubby fucking goatee.
And spiky hair.
That's true.
Yeah. So, one thing I will say, it would have been nice if they'd let any of the women wear dignified uniforms. Like, they did lean way too much into the sexy aspects of the Mirror universe, because of course they did.
I don't know, Hoshi was in a normal uniform most of the time, wasn't she?
No, she still had her midriff out.
Oh, really? Jesus.
Yeah, that's what I think.
That's I feel
what
like
episode
that's
did I watch?
Consistent with like that's like, yes, I'm not going to give Berman and company the benefit of the doubt, but to give Berman and company the benefit of the doubt, that's exactly how they were dressed in TOS.
Yeah, but if you're doing Mirror Universe, you swing for the fences. Like, the men should have all been sleeveless, like Kirk was in Mirror. At least the Makos could have had a highly jacked up costume, and they could have
just straight up all been in like
chest plates.
Yeah,
not even that,
abs just drawn on.
Put them in tank tops and camo pants like the Marines and Aliens.
Yeah, there you go.
They actually couldn't afford that with the budget, so they put them in like those T-shirts where it shows like a guy in like a swim trunks, but with like a really jacked stomach, but it comes in like a 4XL.
Yeah, yeah. Like
I would agree with that.
But it also, I just feel like they were way too excited for the Captain's Woman aspect, and it's like, how was this less gross in the 60s?
Right.
Probably because the 60s couldn't get away with showing as much, and if they'd been able to, it would have been worse.
Oh, because also in the 60s lens, we saw through good Kirk's eyes, so he never sexually assaulted Marlena.
True.
Yeah. Also, the fact that the Captain's Woman was Hoshi, I think, made it a little even more uncomfortable. Versus, in TOS, it was like a character that we hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
Plus, Hoshi is 20, and Forrester is 800, so it felt a little I don't know.
So that was the one thing that was weird, was it felt way less gross with Forrester than Archer, because why
are we calling him Forrester now?
I mean Forrest, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my fault. I started calling him Forrester, sorry.
Forrest, what's kind of weird about Mirror Forrest is that I'm not sure how he did so well in the Mirror universe, because
he actually seems honorable.
He seems like he's part of this system, but he seems to have some amount of humanity and decency.
He goes down with his ship.
Yeah, he kind of feels almost, in a way, it happens though, right? He's almost like Mirror Spock, where if you just sit him down and talk to him, maybe you could make him a decent guy. 1 in 1,000 Mirror Universe people is kind of okay at their core.
Well, here's the thing, though. I was thinking about this, and, the hardest thing to grasp about the Mirror Universe is how does the Empire, like, how is there even any organization here?
You are
if
not
everybody
meant to
just
think
gets
about
ahead
it.
by murder? Yeah, right, exactly. Like, and that's sort of always been the take, is that it's, you just accept, it's just, it's just a fun romp. Don't think too much. But I think that the fact that Forrest is the way he is in this episode kind of lends an alternative explanation, and that's that there are, like, he's ruthless. He puts Archer in the agonizer for hours.
I was so happy.
And Reed. So, like, he's still ruthless. He's still a bad man.
Yeah.
But he's competent, and the people that serve under him respect him and want to follow him. So, like, that's why he had T'Pol's loyalty. He had Hoshi's loyalty until he didn't.
Until he was dead.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
I bet Porthos liked him.
So I think that does offer some explanations. Like, okay, yeah, there are people in this universe that they're still evil. They're still doing ruthless, evil shit, but they are competent and command the respect of their subordinates. And I think that, like, then there's the other side, and that's what you have in Mirror Archer, which is just a ruthless piece of shit.
Yeah.
Who's an opportunist. So I think it gives some more gray area to, like, how the Mirror universe is structured to have this character, I think.
Yeah. It also feels like that assassinating your way to the top is maybe a little less, not less normal, but maybe a little less, like, just matter of fact as it is by TOS. Like, Kirk's file in TOS was literally assassinated Pike to become captain. With this, Archer has a mutiny but still bothers faking orders from Starfleet and stuff, so it's like, I feel like it's an open secret kind of thing at this time, and not just de rigueur as it is by a century later in the same timeline.
Yeah, I was confused by that. I sort of felt like his deception was homework he didn't need to do in the Mirror universe. I think because, when it is revealed and Starfleet gets wind of the plan, they're like, all right, we're actually going to sanction this. We normally don't like mutinies, but this one we're gonna go right ahead with.
Yeah, I'm 90% sure that's probably only because they needed Forrest to stay alive for later in the episode.
Yeah,
probably. But I feel like there would probably be like it's like the Klingon thing where, like, you're allowed to kill your superior officer for cowardice. Except in the Mirror universe, like, you're allowed to kill your superior officer if he's just not enough of a bastard.
You're allowed to kill your superior officer if it's Tuesday and you can.
Yeah. So you're allowed to kill your superior officer if you can get away with it.
Yeah,
like, if the rest of the crew won't just kill you in response, then you're all set.
But this is part of the thing. I do feel they sort of half-assed the Mirror universe in this, at least on the design front. Some interesting stuff happens, but it's like, Reed is basically the same.
Oh, Reed was my favorite.
Reed, he was great. Don't get me wrong, but, like, he gets to do the stuff that he has only hinted at.
Exactly, yeah. That's what I like about
what's amazing about it. There's this one moment, I forget exactly when it is, where, like, something violent happens, and he just gives you this, like, such an unsettling smirk.
Was it when the Enterprise exploded?
It might have been, actually.
Because I think, he definitely was like...
he was very happy about watching that.
Yeah, there was no, like, oh no, the ship that I've showed that was like, haha, I like explosions.
That booth was on there.
That's the only way he can get off, is if Enterprise explodes, so...
Yeah, no, it's fucking... Mirror Reed is amazing. Sorry, go on, though, Carl.
They're all a shade eviler. Phlox just kind of has a more annoying voice than usual.
Phlox is exactly the same across multiverses.
Exactly. I was gonna say, it's just like Archer. It's like, okay, he's doing weird genetic experiments and making unethical medical choices. Okay, somehow, it's Phlox. He just happens to be wearing his, like, dominatrix pajamas or something.
That.
Like,
I will say,
less
though,
genocide.
Of course, Phlox invents the agony booth. I mean, with Reed, but...
Yeah, the two of them together, that makes sense.
That tracks.
So they're fucking, right?
Ooh.
Oh, Reed could do better.
Could he?
Yes.
No, he can't. We know he can't because he didn't.
But this is Mirror Reed where it's opposite.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Mirror Reed is confident.
So here's something I don't understand about this mirror universe.
How long have we got?
So the cloaking device that they hook up to the ship is a Sula. They say it's a Sulaban cloaking device.
Oh, yeah.
But the
I wondered about
Sulaban,
that.
the Sulaban in the Prime universe only have cloaking technology and really any technology because they got it from the future, right?
Oh.
Because of the temporal Cold War. So does that mean that the temporal Cold War is also in the mirror timeline?
Oh God, I don't want to think about that.
Yeah, no, Jake, I had the same thought and immediately went, nope, not having this internal discussion. But we can have it externally if you'd like. Here's what we
stuck
do.
out to me is like, this makes zero sense. Why would there be a cloaking device? They should have just said it was a Romulan device or something.
They just wanted to bring up the Sulaban. It's like, hey, remember, we occasionally remember this show's history. Yeah,
Too little, too late, bitches.
I mean, honestly, the temporal Cold War is so complex to begin with, and multiverse theory is so fucking bizarre. Like, sure, why not? Maybe it's the same. Maybe the temporal Cold War, like, also broke timelines. Maybe there was a mirror temporal Cold War and Daniels was Time Daddy. And I don't know. I saw that. No, don't bring up the Sulaban. The mirror universe is already weird enough.
You haven't earned the Sulaban.
Yeah. It's like back when Vic was a flesh and blood character in the mirror universe. Like,
Yeah.
I'll say
that level.
Wire and steel character.
Yeah.
What?
Wasn't he an android?
No, he was
hologram.
But no, he was just a guy.
Oh, right.
In the mirror universe, he was just a guy.
Oh, you're thinking of the EMH in. Oh God, brain is gone. Living Witness. Yeah.
It's possible that when we watched the episode, I suggested he should have been an android.
I don't remember. I'll say this about these Mirror Universe episodes in Enterprise versus, say, all the Deep Space Nine ones is somehow these feel less like fanfic than the ones in Deep Space Nine. Like these, like there's clearly like while there are nods and nudges, they're all in service of the plot. Whilst in Deep Space Nine, it was like, look, we have Mirror Vic. Look, we're killing off every Mirror Ferengi. It feels like a checklist, while these feel like plots.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I'll say
That's
fair. I loathe the DS9 Mirror Universe episodes. I think they're the worst episodes of that show and possibly of any show. No,
I don't know. Profit
any
and
show.
Lace.
Yeah, no, they're awful. They're awful episodes. They don't make any sense. They're not. I don't think they're fun. I mean, the only fun thing is Mirror Kira, but the rest of them is just tedious and stupid.
A fun Mirror Kira makes up for a whole slew of
That's
sins,
true. That is true. But like this one does actually feel like the best Mirror episode since Mirror. So, for what it's worth, I would say.
I mean, speaking as someone who has not met a Mirror Universe episode he didn't like, I will still agree with that sentiment.
Yeah. And I think the reason is it shares with Mirror I think the biggest disappointment in Enterprise, the series, is it never really had the courage of its convictions to show like how dark humanity could be, and then like getting people together.
Did you
rising.
miss season 3?
And this,
I was gonna say there was a whole lot of shit happening in season.
Oh, it had the dark, but it didn't have the rise.
Ah,
that's the thing.
Okay, there you go.
And
there
this,
it is.
what's great, season 3 was everyone was in shock then, but the thing about this is it kind of obliquely deals with the stuff that this series should have always been about, which is Archer's ambition versus Archer's xenophobic tendencies. And, when Mirror Archer is killed, obviously Prime Archer is still flawed as well. But the stuff he did in season 3 should be haunting him and driving him to create a better world.
Yes.
And that we never quite get a sense of that. But this, at least, good Archer, taunts and humiliates bad Archer, and bad Archer dies. And I like this. I like that that's in there.
He doesn't necessarily die.
Else.
They did leave it.
True,
they left it open because they expected to do a whole mini arc in season 5, but then their show got canceled, and they wanted to leave it a possibility that Reed and Phlox and Archer might still be able to turn up.
Okay, I wondered why they left Reed so ambiguous.
Yeah,
because and I get that even if they knew they were canceled. They'd already written these before they knew they were canceled. So you still, will plan for the future. But yeah.
So
I will say that I meant to bring this. Is what I was going to bring this up earlier when I was talking about Hoshi, and I forgot. What I do love, though, for all that I was kind of grossed out by a lot of it, is that they have her like, she's with Forrest, and we find out she used to be with Archer till she was like, Forrest could get me further, and also, he's a way nicer guy in this universe's version of nice. But what I really enjoy is at the end, when Archer is, as far as I'm concerned, dying. Mayweather walks in, and you're like, oh, she's been with Mayweather the whole time. Nope, Mayweather's been with her. I did enjoy that little twist. I enjoyed her making sure Archer watched so he knew as he died it was her. Tell Archer it was me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's
Just told
amazing.
Archer herself.
Yeah, well, yeah. But so that scene I love. I don't know what the idea was with Mayweather's hair. That was a little weird.
I was just going to say, I loved Mayweather's hair.
yeah,
Are you kidding?
I thought it was pretty good. I thought
The only
everybody's
problem-
alternate hair was better than their
No,
prime
not
hair.
DePaul. I thought DePaul's hair was terrible.
It just felt like it was Jolene Blaylock's hair.
I think
which is fine.
it was definitely a wig.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I felt like it could have been, No, my only problem with his was, like, I feel like you could kind of tell where the wig stopped and his real hair connected to it. Like, I feel like they didn't quite cover the hump.
Yeah, he had an odd intensity that I really liked, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Even
some of
though
the best
he
Mayweather
somehow-
shit we've had.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
even though
it's
he
some
somehow
of the
had
only
even less
time
lines
he's ever
than
had
usual.
a fucking chance.
Yeah,
Sorry, Carl.
Exactly. No, go ahead. You're right.
No, that was it. That was all I had. You go.
That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Wait, let Carl go.
Yes.
I stomped all over him.
No. It's that and they do it on purpose, I think, because that first scene with him and Mayweather's like, and may I say it's an honor to serve with you, and he's like, whoa, don't talk too much, Mayweather, and it's like at this point, like the writers are trolling you now about that. Except at the end, he comes back and he is victorious.
Yeah.
Although not that, I honestly was sort of confused about, like, I didn't realize till the second watch it was like, oh, they're going to rule together now, or maybe he'll be his consort. I don't know.
Yeah,
He
he's
should have had a
definitely
line
the
at that
concubine.
point. I guess that's what
Yeah.
he should have had one more additional line
Nah.
in that scene.
But yeah, that's what's good, too,
uh,
is because he's kissing Archer's ass, that's another thing of, like, oh, he's ambitious, too. So, again, when he shows up with Hoshi, you're like, yes, this has all been his scheme. And again, nope, Uno reverse. I wish they'd given it a little bit longer before you found out it was all Hoshi, but they were running out of time, so.
Yeah, I think this episode would have been better if it didn't, like, mess around with the Gorns and stuff.
Oh yeah, that could have been
much.
dropped entirely.
Like, it
Yeah.
kind of gets really good only in its last 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah, there's definitely a pacing thing. Like, I think for all of part one, it feels like so much setting up. And, it's because, like, these are technically all new characters who we kind of have to see what their situation is. There's this Terran rebellion that the Empire is fighting, and there's a lot going on. But stuff doesn't actually start happening in part one until, like, the very, very end. And then part two is just playing make-believe on the Defiant an awful lot.
Yeah.
Like, they all switch costumes because they came over originally in just their EV suits, and apparently they wear nothing under their EV suits, question marks.
Well, they probably just wear the blue underwear. It's the
underwear.
Mirror Universe, so red underwear.
There it is.
Eh.
And they switch over because these are the uniforms that are handy on this ship. But then when they get to the Avenger, no one changes back.
Well, they do. They do by the end.
Do
change
they?
back.
Okay.
Well, T'Pol has. I think the people that were staying on the Defiant stayed in the Defiant uniforms, but like
Okay.
T'Pol changed.
There was definitely a moment when Tucker was still in the red. I'm like, why are you still wearing that? You look very dominant.
Well, he's. I mean, that makes sense. Like, he does not have the time to stop and get a new set of clothes. He's in the middle of trying to get this thing running.
Yeah. I mean, that was certainly a piece of fan wankery because everybody wants to see the
Definitely,
crew in the TOS uniforms. Speaking of TOS stuff, having the TOS phasers and communicators really just drives home how fucking goofy looking the Enterprise props are in comparison because they look so good. I love seeing the phasers. It was like, wow, that looks cool.
I had the same exact thought when they zoomed in on the 60s phaser. I was like, guys, don't get too close to the better phaser. Oh my god. Like, honestly, I think the only worse phaser than the Enterprise one is the, like, Season 1 TNG Dustbuster phaser. No,
I
that's better than the Enterprise phase, or I take it back.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Yeah, I think another issue I had here with sort of the pacing between the two parts is so many elements are not introduced until part 2. Like we know that there's a rebellion happening, like that's talked about, and it's talked about how like the Empire is on the brink of defeat. But then like we don't get any like these, that we get new ships, we get new captain, we get Soval, only introduced in part 2. And I wish that they had sort of planted the seeds, especially of like T'Pol's betrayal earlier, because I kind of get the impression in part 1 that she's kind of a brown noser. And until she reads the historical documents and understands, oh, there could be more ship. I actually would have been interested if they hadn't made Soval like the bitch on the Avenger, and instead if they had made him the rebel leader, and that he gets like captured and put in the agonizer. Well, I guess they don't have the agonizer because the Enterprise got destroyed. But anyway, he gets captured and is tortured, and Soval frees him. T'Pol frees him, and I don't know. But yeah, because like the whole rebellion angle, we don't see any of it. The only thing we see is some ships getting destroyed, and that's it.
Yeah.
But it's such an important part apparently of this plot that there's this rebellion happening, but we barely see it.
That's a good point. I will say T'Pol's sudden turn didn't seem as jarring, only because I think for her, it's just kind of like, she probably didn't like what was going on. It was like, what can you do? But the Empire getting its hands on such an advanced ship as the Defiant basically had her go, fuck, we have to at least try. They will fucking like, she read the historical documents but saw that even the Federation has General Order 24. And it's like, this ship can destroy a planet. Oh my god, Vulcan is doomed. Especially if fucking Archer Hitler is Emperor.
Yeah, how do you all think T'Pol came across in the mirror version?
I appreciated that she had terrible posture.
That's true.
Like, that was one thing I noticed. In the Prime universe, T'Pol, Jolene Blaylock just must have asked him to put a metal rod up the back of her jumpsuit, because her back is always just fucking ramrod. In this, I don't think she's ever in a chair where she's not like slumping and just kind of sprawled. She must have been so happy to be able to not sit ramrod straight for 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, it's illogical to sit using poor posture.
True.
She is certainly very weak to much of it, except that she also like hypnotizes Trip with the mind meld.
Oh, and so once again, how is that mirror universe? I mean, that's basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she tells him about it, which seemed strange to me. It's like, don't tell the guy what your nefarious plan was.
She was telling us. She was telling the audience.
Yeah.
But also, it's just this interesting. I could see it totally being a tactic of just like, I can fuck with your brain at any time.
Yeah, I think that scene. I like that scene. I like the idea of her. The mirror version of T'Pol, like using mind melds as weapons to get people to do her bidding. I think that's an interesting idea. I wish Trip had figured it out on his own. Like, the fact that she has to explain it for the audience and for Trip, I wish it had been like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is my password or whatever. You fucking mind melded me.
His brain's half melted by delta radiation. Like, he can barely add at this point in his life. I do like that apparently there's just no OSHA in the mirror universe, apparently. It's like, warp cores just leak and kill the engineers. What you gonna do?
Yeah, I also realized that, it was definitely a reference to how, Pike gets delta irradiated.
The look was perfect.
Oh, the look looked good. Yeah, he looked gross.
There was no missing that was what they were going for,
Yeah, but it makes me realize that the other week when Chris was trying to give them credit for making a reference to delta radiation, that probably wasn't a nod to delta radiation because they had to look it up for this episode.
Being fair, I wasn't giving them credit for that. I was going like, really, you couldn't come up with a new radiation, but this week I'll give them credit.
Yeah.
What did you all think of the cold open from First Contact?
My first note was, oh, finally we get to see some better Star Trek.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was cute. I thought it was clever.
Yeah.
Obviously it was a fan wank, but I liked it. I like that opening.
I will say, like, I think it's less jarring going from the Enterprise NX-1 set to the TOS style set. What's more jarring is going from, movie quality film to TV quality film. That's weirder. Like,
and the actual intro music and montage.
Oh, I love that.
Light years better than
so good.
Tears of the Heart or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah. We watched that ages ago for our intros blogtivity, and it's good fun and so much better. But it's fun. It's interesting. What is? I don't know how I feel about this, but like, apparently the mirror universe has always been the mirror universe.
Yeah. So that was my question. So was it a Vulcan invasion fleet that was coming down to Earth, making first contact, and James Cromwell stops it, or was James Cromwell assuming it was a Vulcan invasion fleet and killing on sight?
Yeah, I think the latter. I think that the Vulcans that landed were the same Vulcans that landed in the Prime universe, and they're just they're the same people.
Is this where the mirror universe splits?
No. I think that Earth has been shitty the whole time.
Yeah.
That sounds like us.
Like, it's mirror Earth. Everybody else is still the same. Now they are changed because mirror Earth has fucked with them so much.
Yeah.
I think that the split is actually in mirror Earth, and I even have a potential point of divergence.
Edith Keeler doesn't get killed.
Well, we talked about that before, but
damn it.
I think that's a possibility. But I'm going to say, in this universe, it's Archer's fault.
Ooh.
That Archer.
I'll blame Archer.
This is really what this is about. I just want to blame Archer for something.
Do it.
That after season 3, he fails to stop the Nazi alien guys.
Oh, that makes sense.
And they succeed, and that also explains why the temporal Cold War exists in both, because that was all a temporal Cold War thing. So like so the mirror universe is a Nazis win scenario because Archer didn't do a good job, and then, or maybe wasn't there, right? Maybe he never showed up. Who knows? I don't know. And that's the point of divergence. But the point is, it only affects it's the divergence is on Earth.
Yeah, like that thing is like, wherever it actually happens, we do have that whole little scene in the mess hall between T'Pol and Phlox where he's like, oh yeah, I've been reading old books. And it's like, again, it seems like there's a mirror universe counterpart. So there's like an evil Oliver Twist out there. Like he said, the one thing that seemed to be basically...
That would be Oliver Twisted.
Hey.
Like he even says, like, the one thing that's the same in both universes, like, more or less word for word, is Shakespeare. But all other literature is like...
The ultimate chaotic neutral.
Like, a lot of he said the names are the same, but the personalities are somewhat different. So the Earth has just been bigger pricks than normal, apparently, for way longer. Like, the point of divergence is, I don't know when, I don't need an answer, but it is, I really just love the idea of, like, mirror Pride and Prejudice and shit, like...
Well, I mean, the other thing, too, though, is where we have this fascist regime, right, the empire, that is controlling information, they're probably editing the literature to remove,
That's a good point.
To make the heroes of the literature more in line with their ideals. And they get to Shakespeare and are like, these people are already fucked up enough.
Oh, you know what it should have been? Here's what it should have been. It shouldn't have been, well, it should have been First Contact, the opening, but then instead of a Vulcan ship landing, it's Cardassians. And
they don't have the budget for that.
I know, but that would have made so much sense if the point of divergence was a different First Contact and it's the goddamn fascist ass Cardis.
If only it could have been Gul Dukat. I know it's way too early for that to have been the case. But
find a way to make it work.
Yeah, it could be his great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, and it could still be Mark Alemo.
Well, he'd already been a different Cardassian anyway.
Huh?
He'd already been a different Cardassian anyway, so it's not that much of a stretch.
Oh, yeah.
Or it could have been Damar's actor.
Or it could have been
Casey
Garrick.
Biggs.
They'd probably just bring in Jeffrey Combs again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He hasn't been a Cardassian yet.
True.
I don't know.
Just in his spare
He
time.
hasn't.
Do we think he'd be a sexy Cardassian or not?
Oh,
I don't know.
absolutely.
Do you think so? I don't know.
Is there a non-sexy Cardassian?
Yes.
I mean,
I don't feel any kind of sexy feelings about Kira's surrogate dad.
yeah, he's too much of a
Or
dad to be
Garrick's
sexy.
dad.
Yeah, but if they'd been when they were Garrick's dad, I do though. But
Oh, and not Fontaine, really?
when they were younger, though, probably.
You're
Oh,
a bad,
fair.
Ames, you're a bad girl.
I just think that Cardassian, like, you know, we see Enabrin Tain, we see Kenny Gamor, we see Eamon Maritza, like they're like Cardassian older men just have a look.
It's like,
Yeah,
Beaten
you're right.
down.
have you ever seen? For a while, there was like this meme that went around, and it was like Don Bluth can only draw two men, and it's like Papa Mouskowitz and or the big Russian guy from Anastasia.
Oh, yeah.
Or like hot young man thing that has a very generic like Zach from Saved by the Bell look, and that's how
Cardassians.
Cardassians are. You're either
Yeah, they all
Papa
hit middle age.
Mouskowitz or you're a hot young Gul Dukat.
They all hit middle age in the same exact way. Except Garrick, which was part of the reason he was banished.
Is Garrick middle-aged?
Yeah,
Who
I think
knows?
so, and he's out there shopping for twinks.
I think I think Garrick's younger. I think he's a young man.
Well, I think at the very least, him and Dukat are contemporaries. We know that. Well, anyway.
Yeah,
We've
I
gotten
would've
very
thought
off
so,
course.
But maybe Gul Dukat isn't that old, you know? He's got
Yeah.
young kids. Maybe
I
he's
know.
only
Gul
30.
Dukat was running the occupation for a long time, though.
Yeah. We also don't know how long how Cardassians live.
Yeah,
That's
I'm going to
true,
reel
they
us
could
back
be
in
hundreds of years old.
Please.
with some backstory.
Ooh.
So I guess the idea that was originally kicking around was we have to find a way to get Shatner involved. And Chris,
Oh, do we
Chris has
really?
probably
Why
heard this
not?
story before because I think it's come up. So there were two ideas. One by writer Michael Sussman, who had this idea like, what if in Mirror Mirror, the Tantalus field that Kirk uses is actually sending people back in time into a penal colony in the Prime universe, and that's how that's just how they're dealing with their prisoners, ish, and that the Enterprise would come across the something or other. This penal colony, in their time, just normal world, and have some kind of adventure with that Shatner or some shit.
So it would be Mirror Kirk. It would be old Mirror Kirk.
Old Mirror Kirk that Spock has Tantalus
Yeah.
and sent back to in time to this universe. And he's trying to find a way to his universe where he can rule again and yada yada yada. And they kind of they were going with that, but they couldn't actually agree to terms to get Shatner on the show, so they turned it into this.
Good.
The other idea,
Probably better off this way.
the other stupider idea that Sussman had was, what if Shatner plays Chef, and we learn he's an ancestor of Kirk?
Oh, God.
No.
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 Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the eventual Chef reveal is actually way
Don't
better
spoil
than that.
Kate.
I won't spoil the Chef reveal.
There's a chef reveal?
They commit. Can't wait.
Those are both bad. One thing I think actually that makes this good is the fact that there is no overlap between the universes. Like, this takes place just completely within the Mirror universe.
Yeah.
There's no one
that's
from
nice.
the Prime universe standing there going, this world is so weird. Like, we
Right. Or trying to
the-
fit in, or doing
the
that
overlap-
plot we've seen.
Yeah, the overlap is limited to people from the Mirror universe just reading about the Prime universe and trying to comprehend it and how they react to that. But there isn't anyone there, egging them on, being like, in my universe, things are so much better, you can be... We've had that so many fucking times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is fine. We didn't need, Prime anyone to show up.
Yeah.
I don't need Mirror someone in the Prime universe. This at least is unique in that, this is something they haven't done with a Mirror Universe episode at this point. It is just completely contained within it.
From what I understand, they made sure that it was contained so that Mirror Mirror would still technically be the first contact with Terran counterparts, because Enterprise for some reason really tries to stay within the canon, even sometimes when it's to their detriment.
Well, somebody's gotta.
Yeah, so they really wanted Mirror Mirror to like stay up on its pedestal.
That's fine. Like, this is the one time where they're wanting to have their cake and eat it to worked out in our favor.
Cake.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think having the episode take place entirely within the Mirror Universe was interesting. And yeah, better than a crossover for sure.
And it was, a nice touch to have thrown together the alternate credit sequence, as we already said. Like, that's a nice little, that's a cute touch.
And the things it does say about the differences are kind of like sly and clever. And sometimes I like that the Vulcan Science Directorate is wrong in both universes.
That's true.
And I like this whole season of Enterprise is so memory beta. You know what I mean? Like, this is like all the plots of these like 2 or 3 part episodes. Like, they are like if you were bored at the mall and like you had to get like a pocketbook and just wanted to read Star Trek, like that would be, like the Klingon augment virus thing. Like, that is such a memory beta concept.
For our
and it's kind of nice. I mean, after nothing has really connected with this show before, so at least they're kind of playing in waters that we like this year.
To explain to the viewers at home who maybe aren't as nerdy as us, and even maybe some of you don't know, Memory Alpha only contains information from the shows and films. Memory Beta includes information from the novels and comics and such, which must be a nightmare because they're not required to agree with one another.
Oh,
It's like,
they contradict all over the place.
Yeah, like...
Well, that's... go ahead.
In the 90s and now even, but like Star Wars extended media, like at first it didn't have to, but by like the 90s they established like an editing group to make sure nothing contradicted or they all worked well enough together. And when Disney did their big reset, they similarly set up their own in-house, like, so in theory, all the comics and books and whatever should not contradict the films and the shows and such. Star Trek never had that order. So I don't know how you write a memory beta article.
Yeah. My favorite. Because you mentioned Star Wars, I'll mention it. But my favorite piece of Star Wars trivia, I guess, is that in 1978, when they didn't know if they knew that there was going to be a sequel, but they didn't know when it was going to come out or what it was going to be about. They commissioned a book that was supposed to be a sequel to Star Wars. I think it's called
Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Splinter of the Mind's Eye. That's right, and it's like this weird kind of mirror universe sequel to Star Wars that comes out without any of like the baggage of The Empire Strikes Back or anything like that. And it's like, Luke and Leia are like together or something. But of course, like, it's based on their characters in Star Wars, so it
so they don't know that they're brother and sister.
Yeah, like that's not a thing. That's not part of Star Wars, so it wasn't in the sequel.
Oh,
I don't know how accurate this is, but supposedly that is actually based on a treatment George Lucas actually wrote.
Oh, really?
For like, if he got greenlit, but had a tighter budget, like if they were like, all right, we'll let you, but we don't know. We're going to give you less money. So part of the reason Han Solo isn't in it is because Harrison Ford was too expensive. So he wasn't in the treatment, so that's why he's not in the allegedly. I don't know how true this is. But yeah, supposedly it was basically George being like, if they don't want to give me as much money for a sequel, I need a scaled back sequel, which is why, like, it all takes place on one planet. There's a much smaller cast. Some very bizarre shit is in there. I read it years ago, but I don't remember the finer points.
Yeah, but to Carl's point about season 4, I feel like this is the Manny Koto effect, that like he's a big Star Trek nerd, and so he's basically writing fanfic.
Yeah.
At this point, which
this whole season has been a little bit more fanficky. I feel.
It's like, okay, and like honestly, that was the promise of this show, was that it was the backstory of like how did we get to where we were, and they started doing that in season 1 with like Dear Doctor, where they fucked it up horribly. Oh, yeah. And a few other episodes where it's like, okay, yeah. And then they went totally off course, especially in season 3 with the Xindi and everything. So I feel like they're bringing it back to its premise, which is, here's the backstory on like certain, how certain things are, and like some of it's fine, a lot of it's trash. They probably just shouldn't have made a prequel to begin with because we didn't need it.
No.
But they I feel like the show is living up to its premise at least a bit more in season 4.
Suppose so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought United was a really good episode. Like that could have been the whole series, just like Archer arguing with Combs, and like
Kind of is the whole series.
well, the episodes we remember are those. But like, I mean, wouldn't it have been cool, like some sort of maybe more Babylon 5 approach, but with like humans and Andorians, and I mean, the Andorians are awesome. Like,
Yeah.
really.
Did you notice too? If you pause Prime Archer's file, he is ambassador to Andoria for a while.
I did notice
Yeah.
that.
Wow.
Also,
So
I think
him
this
and-
came up last week when was it on our show where we were talking about how all the captains are admirals?
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Where else were we talking about this?
I don't know, but it
How
came up
all the
recently.
captains are what?
We were talking. We were talking about. I was having a conversation, it was either on this podcast or not,
Or in your head.
about how
with Mirror Archer.
all of the hero captains in Star Trek are canonically admirals except for Sisko, and on that display in that he was looking at, it said admiral, rank at retirement, admiral.
Of course. Well, I know we definitely
There he goes.
bitched once about the fact that, like, I don't know if it was on air, but the fact that, like, so many characters end up captains eventually. And it's like, even characters for whom you're like, that character never gave the impression they had interest in command ever. Like, Captain doesn't
Captain
have to be the end game in Starfleet. You can just be a very accomplished engineer. Why not? Like, it's very strange.
You know what
Maybe-
else?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Caitlin.
I was just going to say, maybe it's like every other job in the universe where, like, at some point you get to as high as you can get without being management, and then you're just like, well, I guess I'm management now. And, like, only 3% of people are actually, like, built for that sort of thing. Archer is the perfect example. He's terrible.
But here's the thing. In our universe, people take management jobs they don't necessarily want because we need the money.
Yeah,
this is a
it's a pay grade
post-scarcity
thing.
society. Like,
Are
you
they
can...
are they post-scarcity in Enterprise?
Well, the later Treks. Enterprise is way more vague.
I bet they're not. Bet they're not post-scarcity.
I believe they
certainly
abolished
weren't
hunger.
post-scarcity for good captains.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is weird how, especially in the TOS movies, how captain is just sort of a rank everyone gets to. Like,
Yeah.
Captain Uhura, Captain Chekhov, Captain
Captain Chekhov.
Captain Chapel.
And yet never Captain Kim.
No,
Never fucking Lieutenant J.G. Kim.
No.
He changes
also-
careers when he gets home and just becomes a jazz star.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Also, so he's what is it? Archer is ambassador to Andoria, Federation Councilman, then president of the Federation.
That was
What an
dumb.
awful administration that must have been.
Don't
Well,
blame
I
me,
mean-
I voted for Kodos.
Consider some of the winners that we've had as president.
I know, and I thought we'd be better by then. It's the future. I think Reed was head of the Starfleet Secret Service. I mean, Federation Secret Service.
Who is?
No.
Reed.
Oh, yeah.
He's Section 31. No question.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
literally.
canonically, he's actually
Literally.
he is.
Yeah.
He is Section 31.
Yeah, last week.
Yeah, but doesn't he, like, quit? Isn't he like, I'm not doing this anymore?
You're
Yeah.
not allowed to quit Section 31.
Yeah, I was going to say.
He
like trying
says
to
he's
leave the
quitting, but he
mafia.
can't.
I wish I could quit you, says Reed.
I wish you wouldn't kill me if I quit you.
No, it's worse than that. They tell his dad he failed.
No.
Tell his
his
dad
dad wouldn't be
something
surprised.
surprising. Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
Another
Oh,
reason
What
to hate
else
my
is
son.
new?
Oh, sorry. Just, again, little nods. Weeks ago, I said I wish we'd gotten the food cubes, and we got them this week.
We did.
Yay.
We got the food cubes. So I was like, all right, I'll take them here, I guess.
Yum.
Yeah.
Oh, I have one question that I'm not sure I understood what was going on. That grav plating thing they did to defeat the Gorn.
Mm-hmm.
Explain.
She turned up the gravity on that specific section of floor.
So literally one tile of floor has
Yeah.
different gravity.
Well, that's what. Yeah, so that's why like Archer reads her the
Number.
serial number of
Yeah.
the floor panel.
How did he
that the
not know
Gorn
it
was
wasn't? How did he know it wasn't for that whole corridor? They were standing
No.
2 feet away.
Maybe he knows. He knows how graph plating works. You can target individual sections of floor, I guess.
Which seems like a weird feature. Like, why do you need that? Oh, actually, okay, I thought of a good reason to have that.
Yeah.
If you want to do work in the ceiling, it's way easier if you can just turn off one chunk of floor.
Yeah.
That would just be kind of funny. You're just walking down the corridor, and there's a guy just kind of floating in one part, and he's like,
that guy is
go around.
Mayweather.
Yeah, they got to put up some caution tape. Caution, low gravity.
There are no step ladders in the future.
Yeah. Well, what is it in? I think it's in the motion picture. There aren't. They have hover platforms you stand on.
Yeah, I
when
remember
Kirk
those.
walks on the bridge, you can see someone's like from the waist down, and they're just standing on a floating platform, which seems like a terrible idea. Like, just have a step stool.
Yeah. I want to know where the Gorn was hiding. So he was up in like the rafters.
He's in the
Apparently.
catwalk.
It's like
Oh, no, this
apparently
is the Defiant.
like
Warmer there.
So Ames and I a couple years ago we went on the TOS set tour in
Oh, that's right.
In Ticonderoga. You should go. It's great.
and it was fun. And of course, in the actual TOS sets, there's no ceiling because it's all the lighting, the rigging and everything for the lighting and such.
Yeah, the Jeffries tube doesn't actually go anywhere.
But my implication, I always thought the implication on the show anyway was that there was just a ceiling above them. But apparently there's not. It's just like open space where creatures can hide.
Well, so that's what was interesting was like, because we, for years on the old show, we would see Scotty up the Jeffries tube just kind of leaning there. And for this, they came up with like, oh, well, that leads to this sort of larger inner area we've never seen, which I will say for an area that never existed in the old show, they did a good job of making it feel like, yeah, I feel like Matt Jeffries might have designed this. Yeah, so I mean, there is a ceiling. It's just like, but there are other inner gut areas like the later ships that we just never saw in TOS, and I imagine
where is the Gorn when he jumps on top, when he jumps down and attacks?
I assume he just like, he was in the vents like in a bad action movie.
They show him standing in like this dark nether space.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's very high ceilings.
Yeah, apparently.
It's like, guys, you could have made a much shorter ship if your ceilings weren't so crazy.
Yeah. How did they do the set for this? Like, did they have to just because obviously the TOS sets were all destroyed.
Yeah, those are long gone. Yeah, they rebuilt for this.
They had to rebuild almost. So they had to rebuild the corridor. They had to rebuild the Jeffries tube. They had to rebuild the bridge and the captain's quarters.
Yeah, they did.
And the conference room.
Yeah, it was a lot of stuff. I hear it's only a 3/4 bridge, so you never see it from a certain angle. But it's still more than they did for Relics, where they just did like a pie slice.
Yeah.
And then used like kind of like archival footage for the rest.
Was any of it like leftover shit they built for the DS9 Tribbles episode?
It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like all of it they had to redo.
No, that's
Jesus.
too bad,
Yeah. Yeah, because the Tribbles episode they had to build several sets for that. But yeah, this was like, other than we don't see engineering, and we don't see the transporter room. But I think
med bay.
Oh yeah, they don't see sick bay. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, we get pretty much the rest of the ship.
Yeah.
Plus the new service
area
corridor, we haven't seen before.
Yeah, this is entirely why they made it a 2-parter, so that they would kind of be able to stretch the budget. Saying, oh yeah, we'll use 2 episodes worth of budget because most of it's going to be building the TOS looking sets.
And it's also, I think it's pretty clear some moments that they didn't have all the money. Like when they apparently are holding a bunch of slaves hostage that we never see.
Yeah, we see one.
Except for one.
Supposedly dozens.
Dozens. And there are 47 crew members of Enterprise aboard the Defiant. But, we just see like 3. I do
surprise
like,
me sorry, I was just gonna say, it surprises me that they have Vulcans even working in positions of authority on the ship when there's like the Vulcans are in active rebellion against them. It just seems like they'd be like, any Vulcans would be in like an internment camp in this world. Like you wouldn't put someone from a rebelling species on the bridge of your flagship.
I believe Archer says that the Vulcans didn't rebel.
We see a Vulcan ship.
It sounds like they. It sounds like they joined relatively recently, because he says like, I had no problem with your people until they joined the rebellion.
Oh, okay.
Which feels like a lie. He
But
always
still,
hated Vulcans.
the moment they join the rebellion, you question the ones you currently have.
Yeah, especially if you're a fascist state.
Yeah,
exactly.
which they
I
are.
mean, this. Yeah, exactly. This is. That's why I say like they'd be in camps in this. In this universe.
Well, that's certainly where Emperor Archer is heading. I mean, he kicks off all non-Terrans on his ship.
Oh yeah, my great note was typical racist Archer. Oh right, this is a different Archer.
Yeah.
Do you think Mira Reed is allergic to a different fruit?
Yes. This one hates pineapple on principle. I'm not allergic to this. Fuck it.
Yeah, they should have had just a little scene of him trying a food cube and be like, pineapple. I hate pineapple.
He's probably
would be cute.
allergic. He's probably allergic to a vegetable.
There we
It's
go.
the mirror universe.
Ooh.
Carrots.
Yeah.
Shame, carrots are so tasty.
They are.
Poor Reed.
What does Mira Reed? He's allowed to suffer. Fuck him.
Does T'Pol sort of have emotions now? I've just been
In
sort of thinking
general
about
or in
this,
this
but like,
episode?
well, I feel like she has always been good at the classic Vulcan acting, but clearly the relationship with Trip has kind of pulled some emotions
And the
more to
Trellium
surface.
addiction.
And the Trellium addiction, yeah.
Mostly
and in
the
this
Trellium
episode,
addiction.
like she's like full out like shouting at Soval. It's kind of jarring if they're doing it on purpose. You know what I mean?
I think
Like-
they were, because it's like, again, it's a mirror universe and their culture has been oppressed, so we don't know how
Yeah.
good their teachings have been for the past however many, roughly 60, 80 years since first contact. But also she's in a place of extreme desperation, where I
Yes.
feel like, those walls, no matter how strong they are, might break down. Like, we are facing down the potential genocide of our people. Snap the fuck out of it, Soval.
Yeah.
Okay, then what was Velas's excuse during the Vulcan Cyrenite arc?
Oh, he's just psychopathic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, his brain is just plain broken.
Yeah, I think because as we know, the Vulcans aren't like innately driven by logic. That's like they have to actively fight against their baser instincts to be as tight ass as they are.
Their baser
And he
instincts,
just stopped.
their baser instincts, which are more extreme even than humans.
So being conquered by Terrans, they become more emotional.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary. I like that. You know what else I liked? Forrest. I saw. I guess in the Prime universe, he is a guy like he wanted to fly the Warp 5 engine, but he discovered he was better at like being the admiral and supervising. And in this universe, he never makes that decision. He will not sacrifice for the greater good. He keeps it for himself.
Well, apparently, also in this universe, there are way more NX class ships, or at least we see 2. So I wonder if Enterprise was even the first in this world or not.
I think it's still NX-1.
Is it?
Yeah, but yeah, definitely like if they're waging a large scale intersystem war, they definitely have more than 2 Warp 5 ships at this point.
Yeah. Well, they have the Avenger at least.
Yeah.
So assuming that's not just the Columbia but renamed.
Yeah, but no, I imagine they must have a lot of Warp 5 ships at this stage. Yeah, that's one thing that doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, there's a lot that doesn't make a ton of sense, but like the fact that they just took what they wanted from the Vulcans,
Yeah.
but they're still at the same technological level. They've just made more ships rather than better ships.
Yeah, and they made them not to explore, but to conquer.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want a fleet. You don't want, okay, we're going to test out that exploring is okay with one ship and see that if we survive. No, it's nope, we're going to survive because we're going to kill everyone in our path.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of disappointed, the more I think about it, that they left T'Pol's character relatively the same as she is in the Prime. And I guess
They did the same with
thing
Spock.
I know. And so it's consistent, but I don't know. Part of me is just like, man, I would have really loved to have seen Jolene Blaylock as like a sadistic, awful person who is like smiling and just not at all remotely Vulcan-like, but then is like mind melding prisoners to extract information and just like doing other sick shit to people.
Yeah.
Because
I guess
like
that's the
she didn't
thing.
get to really do anything interesting as an actor.
She got to harass
Slouch.
Trip a lot.
A little
True.
bit.
Guys, she had her midriff out, okay? That's all she had to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish that they, all the other actors felt like they got to do something new and different with their characters that they hadn't done before, but T'Pol just has to still be basically T'Pol.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to Paul in a new wig.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been better if they had sort of given her more like choices. She could have like mind melded Phlox to make him betray Archer or something.
Yeah. Or like, why didn't they use her to torture or to extract the information about the Gorn from the slave?
Because they wanted an excuse to show Mayweather's guns.
Yeah, that's true. Well, what they could have done is like had like this isn't working, and then T'Pol goes is like, let me try.
I guess, if you had to explain away in universe, one, they just might not be compatible. Two, Archer might not trust her enough, But yes, you're right. It would have been better if she was like just evil.
Yeah.
But I think they wanted her to be sort of there as a representative of the oppressed peoples. So
Yeah. And that I kind of liked because we haven't, that conversation with her and Phlox, we kind of haven't seen that, even in the Deep Space Nine Rebellion episodes. Like we haven't really seen Rebellion spreading. And just the idea, like that she is so beaten down that like the idea of a federation is so foreign to her. And it gives her like some hope.
Yeah.
Is interesting.
Yeah, I would have written this episode so differently.
Yeah.
I would have
Lay it on
definitely
us, Jake.
I would have definitely had a scene. Okay, here's how I would have written it. T'Pol's evil. She's like Forrest's like cuz Forrest kind of doesn't like to get his hands dirty, right? Cuz he's brass. So he has T'Pol as like his whip that he goes out there to like crack the whip. And like there's definitely a scene where like she straddles somebody in a chair and mind melds them forcibly, and it's fucking horrible. But anyway, we have and then like Reed is Archer's equivalent. So Forrest uses the Vulcan psychic powers on people, but Archer just uses brute force with like Reed and Mayweather. T'Pol's never good until they bring the Defiant out. They just totally wreck the rebel fleet, and they capture the rebel leader, Soval, and then they send Archer with Goatee. Archer sends T'Pol in to torture him to find out the location of where the rest of the rebels are, the rebel base, right? Star Warsy, I don't know, whatever. And he tries to convince her that with the power, he's all bloody and shit because Mayweather's already done it. He's like, but the power of the ship, our people are doomed. You must see that you're sealing our destruction, the destruction of our people. And so she's like, yeah, fuck you. And then she melds him, but he melds it right back to her.
Oh, he's got the mental power.
Because he does. He feeds into her and he turns her, and then she becomes, she ends up becoming the rebel leader on her own right. There you
Love
go.
that.
There
It's
you
a
go.
good fanfic, Jake.
I love it.
Oh, one final note, because that's because the rest of my card is garbage. Majel Barrett is now the only actor to be in all the Star Trek series up to Enterprise, because we hear her voice on the Defiant.
Nice.
Oh, yay.
And we love you,
Did
Majel.
she record
Nice.
new lines, or was it just like file footage? Was she still around?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
She was
She
still
died.
around. Oh, God, I looked it up for this and I forgot already. But I'm pretty sure she was still around. I think she died the following year. Am I nuts?
I believe it was
2000
just
2008.
before.
Oh, then it was a couple years after. So, yeah, she was still around. I think she did the lines, but it didn't say specifically anywhere like that she had like a session or anything. But my guess would be that they brought her in.
Yeah, at the very least, she's credited. But again, that could be just because of...
Yeah,
Well,
like
I
for
remember-
2009, they used archival footage.
Right. And I remember people saying that like they had brought her in before the Abrams movie and had her record like every human syllable.
Yeah.
which seems like it wouldn't work, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, I feel like nowadays with deepfake technology being what it is, they could. She's had so much dialogue as the computer recorded, they could certainly make a lifelike Majel computer voice if they wanted. I don't think they should.
I
No.
do.
Well,
let the
It makes
dead
me
rest.
so sad in like Strange New Worlds that it's not Majel.
Yeah,
See
I feel
what
like
they-
there's part of it that like part of me is like, yeah, it would be nice as like a tribute, I guess, but the other part of me is like, let the dead rest. Like, don't don't have Fred Astaire dancing with vacuum cleaners.
Yeah, I mean, if she actually did do that thing where she kind of like did the like Siri style recording ahead of time, so like in a way that would seem to imply a certain amount of consent on her part. So if that's real, like if she really sat down and just recorded, like you said, like sort of, I'm sure they know a way to have because again, they have it for like computer voices they have for years. Like they know what sounds to have her record so they can stitch together things. If that was real, I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, do it. If that story isn't true, then it's kind of like, you know what? Let's, again, I get
also-
like wanting the tribute, but like, I want to know the person agreed to it ahead of time.
And even if it's true, I mean, that feels to me like something they might have done because like we don't have the technology to do this now, but we might have the technology to do this sometime in the future. So let's just record all these, because I'm trying to imagine how you would compose speech from just record. Like you'd have to like, it would be like playing a piano. You have to play like chords to get people to get this, and it would probably sound like shit.
Maybe.
So I
But
think the
again,
only way to do it would be like with deep fakes at this point.
Yeah, like there's definitely like there's a couple different speak aloud programs like that I tried to put on Google Chrome, but it wanted me to pay for it, and I said fucking no, I have this free one in Edge.
Yeah.
And you could pick celebrity voices. So I have a feeling they can just do it with like archival footage of of you talking normally to like find the cadence and the voice and the different sounds, and not just piece together like, oh, here's an instance of her saying, oh, and here's an instance of her saying, puh.
Yeah, there probably is some like text to speech system that does like if you have like this level of detail of somebody's voice, you can probably replicate it.
See, they
And if
really
you
missed
can't,
it.
you will be able to within 3 years.
Yeah. All I know is Strange New Worlds missed a trick by not just having Jess Bush be the computer.
That I would accept. Like how I was very pissed in Prodigy when they did like a really lousy job with the voice for Spock in Kobayashi. When it's like, okay, the sound quality is so bad, you should have had Ethan Peck do it. You have a Spock at your disposal, guys.
Or clean up the damn audio, one or the other.
What they should have done in Strange New Worlds is retconned it so that Number One and Chapel were like sisters from a planet where like everybody is a twin except their twin. One twin has blonde hair and one twin has dark hair.
I mean, or every twin can choose their own hair color via box dye like everybody else.
Nope. It has to be a Star Trekky explanation.
It's too specific.
It's another version of you've got black on one side of the face and white on the other side of the face.
Oof.
Yeah.
Like you're blonde and you're brunette.
You got your peanut butter in my chocolate.
This does remind me, I meant to go back and check and didn't. Was the computer voice in Mirror Mirror a guy, or is that just something they did for this?
It was definitely a guy.
Okay.
I would say. Yeah, they certainly did all the research. Hey, what'd you think of the Tholian?
It looked like shit.
I
CG.
expected worse. But then when they killed him and he just turned into like little diamond pieces, it looked real dumb.
They did. The special effects weren't great, but they did a good job extrapolating a creature from what had been a weirdly lit cardboard cutout 40 years before.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
the
I mean,
overall
it's
design
better-
was cool.
Yeah, it was a nice design. It was probably as good as they could have done with a mid-2000s TV budget.
They were
Looked
wise
better
to
than
have
the
him.
Gorn.
They were wise to have
Yeah.
him not interact with anything.
Yes. Yeah. Like, definitely of the two CG aliens we got, the Tholian was light years ahead of the Gorn.
Yeah, agreed.
When the Gorn first came on screen, I literally just started laughing hysterically.
Oh, it's so bad.
I was like, why?
Should have been
And
a
it's
guy in
that
a
scene
suit.
where he's up in his like hidey hole and they just show his little, like he's talking, but his mouth isn't moving. And I was like, what is happening?
Oh, it's because it's translating. He's growling, and the thing is translating it.
Which, admittedly,
Growling.
that's a throwback to Arena.
No, I know.
I thought the
but-
Gorn kind of hissed in Arena, though.
No,
It
I
did.
believe you find that the Gorn
He
kind of
hissed
went,
and went like, "Oh!"
the whole shit.
That too, yeah. Sounded like a motorcycle that was having trouble turning over.
The Gorn just made. I mean, it looked like an animatronic dinosaur from a children's museum.
That would have looked better. Don't you dare.
Probably.
Have you seen like those like dinosaur costumes that they have now that like a person actually gets inside, but they're like sort of halfway between a costume and a puppet?
Yeah.
Ooh,
They
no,
look
I
really
haven't.
good, and like in a trained operator is fairly believable as a dinosaur wearing one of these things.
Yeah, no,
They
it just
could have done that.
again, just an Arena costume, basically, you know? Glue the old one back together.
Yeah, you can add the eye blinks again if you want.
Oh god, no, don't do that.
Yeah. So I think my main issue is Chris has been bigging this episode up for literally 7 years. I expected to hate it, and instead I kind of nothing it.
That's good for you in the Mirror Universe.
Yeah. Like it's better that there isn't a crossover, because that would have
Much.
gotten silly, like
Yes.
very silly. Instead, they were just embracing the evil, which is fine.
Yeah.
Mirror Porthos forever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love how Porthos is a hell beast. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was basically one of the dogs from Ghostbusters. Yeah, no, I had an extraordinary amount. Again, this is finally something I remembered from Enterprise was correct. This is stupid fun for me.
Yeah.
Aw, Caitlin didn't like it, though. Would you have final thoughts, Caitlin?
Well, I like it better having heard you guys talk about it, I have to say, because it made me feel like better about some of the stuff that I thought wasn't good, but it also made me take a deeper or like a less surface level look at some of the stuff. So I think I have a new appreciation, and I think I might try rewatching it. With fresh
We are
eyes.
all sort of grading on the Enterprise curve, I'm sure. Like it's like I like it because it's more thoughtful than usual, but it's not really. I think they could have gone farther on the design with making people look weird in the Mirror Universe.
Yeah.
Less
Man.
sleeves, please.
They had to spend all that money on a CG Gorn, though.
Right.
Why? Jesus.
I do not know.
Right.
So weird. Actually, one final question that I was wondering. If you hadn't watched the Tholian Web, would your appreciation for this Finding the Defiant make sense? Or would you think that it was a reference to Deep Space Nine?
I mean, I think that the Tholian web reference works well enough, because I don't think you need the Tholian web to understand what's going on here. You do need mirror though. Like,
Yeah.
if you weren't familiar with the concept of the mirror universe and this episode came on, you'd be like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
another
mean-
reason why I think people who want to watch Star Trek in chronological order with
Should not.
Enterprise, then Discovery of all fucking things, whiplash inducing, then Strange New Worlds probably, then TOS would go crazy.
Yeah, no, like, I say this as someone who enjoys Discovery. Don't do that. Discovery only makes sense in the context of everything that came before it.
So
Like,
you don't think Discovery stands on its own?
Well,
I
all
will
of
have
New
to-
Trek sort of.
Yeah, that thing. So I feel like, almost all of streaming Trek, like, I feel like if that's one downside of it, is that I think you need at least some existing
Yeah.
Trek knowledge, probably.
It's hard to find harder to find an entry point into Trek these days, because some shows you need the context. Like Picard, you could not jump into.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Lower
I
Decks,
would
you
say,
could not jump into.
as a way to introduce kids to the series, Prodigy could
Prodigy
totally
forever.
work. But I will say that I appreciate it way more as an adult that has seen Voyager.
Oh yeah, well, not just Voyager. Like, I think that's sort of the problem. It's kind of the MCU problem.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
Like, I don't watch I don't watch any MCU movies. I've seen a few, and the ones that I have seen, or the ones that I've seen that I've enjoyed, are the ones that kind of stand on their own, like the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Sure.
But like, I see ads for movies, and I tried watching. I think it was called Civil War, and if you don't have the backstory of 30 other films, you're lost. You don't understand, like, why are these characters friends or enemies? Why does Captain America hate Iron Man? I don't know, but apparently they do.
Yeah, like I think new Trek I think is not necessarily, streaming Trek I should say isn't necessarily an entry point. Again, with the exception of Prodigy, but even then that's more for like, I'm not saying adults can't enjoy Prodigy, but adults will enjoy it more because it builds so wonderfully on. Like, I feel like if you're a kid and you're watching it, it's great. And then you get older and watch more Trek because Prodigy sucked you in and you go, oh shit, that thing from Prodigy makes sense now.
Yeah.
I feel like for most Star Trek, TNG is a pretty good entry point. I feel like for Discovery in particular, it's hard to do Discovery if you don't know who Spock is.
Yeah.
Just because so much of Michael Burnham's character is based on she's Spock's sister, at least in the early seasons. It becomes not a thing later, but early on, like the fact that Sarek's her dad, sort of.
When she becomes the most important person in the whole universe, it's no longer necessary to remind you that she's also Spock's. It's more like Spock's her brother at this point, not so much that, it's like, oh yeah, I've heard that she's got some little brother. I don't know.
Yeah, Leonard Nimoy, famous for having played the
Michael Burnham's
brother
brother.
of Michael Burnham on Star Trek.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I don't know what the minimum entry requirement is to Discovery, but it's at least the TOS movies, maybe a handful of very specific TOS episodes, possibly some Deep Space Nine.
You kind of need the cage, right?
Yeah, you definitely
need the
cage.
menagerie. You need the menagerie and or the cage.
Yeah, it. And again, I say this as someone who likes the show, but freely admits it is not a good entry point. Enterprise, terrible entry point. Don't do that. No one do that.
No one do that.
I think you said
not a
Jake,
good exit point either. Just leave it.
I think the latest sort of entry point would be TNG. I think because in a way, like, they were very conscious when they were making it. For all that we know from the documentary, those first couple seasons were a fucking disaster. They were very conscious of the fact that some people might be coming to this without TOS, and we're like, let's treat this like it's an entry point. I mean, even Deep Space Nine, which I love, I feel like you could watch it on its own, but the full impact can't, I think, be appreciated if you don't understand that so much of it seems to be a response to or building on the events of TNG.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I feel like the you could skip TOS if you really wanted, but I don't think you should skip anything. Like, you shouldn't. The earliest you should. Let me rephrase this. If you're gonna start anywhere, start with TNG. Do not start with Enterprise, for Christ's sakes. Don't start with any streaming Trek unless you're a kid and it's Prodigy, or you're an adult and it's Prodigy, but believe me, you're not going to appreciate it in the same way.
It kind of depends on the person, though, too, because I've become in recent months a huge fan of Lower Decks somehow, and it's just the actors are so funny to me, and like it's that the fan wankery is sort of comedy. And, if you know a little bit about Trek and not much, like, you can always find new, like, I always love the thing where it's like, I get that joke, but not that joke. I should look up that joke.
Yeah.
Oh, that is funny. Delayed reaction.
Funny.
Take that, people who think explaining the joke makes it less funny.
They are better when they don't explain the joke.
I foresee you as a frequent visitor for our Lower Decks coverage then in future.
Anytime.
Good.
It's great to like I said, I do appreciate having had the chance to watch Enterprise. So now that I can have opinions on what's bad about it.
A lot.
And what's good, the thing is, there is a lot of talent there. They just never stuck the landing. Turnier, but I would say Blaylock as well.
I like her. It's true.
And we've seen. I mean, none of the cast sticks out to me as irredeemable. Like, something could be done with every one of those people.
It's funny that earlier you were talking about how it's a shame, seeing Spacula here instead of Quantum Leap, because in last week's episode, which we have not actually, has not gone live as of our recording now, I did wonder, because I've never really seen Quantum Leap, it's like, he must have been good in that, right? People seem to like him as an actor.
It's
and
his magnum opus.
I just feel like the show was not writing to Bacula's strengths as an actor.
I think
was
I
actually
speculated on
strengths.
that. Yeah, exactly. Like, he plays, he plays the Sam Beckett character on Quantum Leap perfectly, because that's the character that's his type. And he doesn't bring that same energy. Like, he's not a starship captain. He doesn't bring authoritative, like, because that's the thing, like, in Quantum Leap, he's just kind of like, he's just always thrust into fucked up weird situations, and like, his fucking catchphrase is, oh boy, like, like, literally he's always confused.
Yeah.
You can't be that guy as a starship captain. You have to be confident, and he doesn't give that.
He could, though. I mean, he could be confused. I mean, like, Han Solo is good at that kind of sci-fi archetype. But it's that thing. I remember reading, I guess, someone at Enterprise was mad that they were like, I don't know if we should use Bakula. He's already got a lot of audience goodwill, and that is somehow a threat to us, Star Trek. Clearly, we've got to crush all of the nice things that he did so that he can fit into.
There you go.
And it's such a perfect example of the Star Trek bureaucracy of the time and what they
Rick
got
Berman
wrong.
was a
like,
fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we talked about it this episode, we go, why was there a prequel? And I think we probably said it went in the first Enterprise episode. They clearly just did a prequel because the Star Wars prequels were happening, and they were like, well, I guess we do prequels now. Because Rick Berman
Prequels are big, yeah. Prequels were big at this time, so yeah.
Oh, a lot of them
jumped
did
on
not,
a bandwagon.
Yeah, and a lot of them didn't do well, but everyone kept making them. And it's like, Rick Berman is a man of zero imagination. He is clearly strictly a money man, a pencil pusher. And I've seen the man in interviews, like, there's nothing there. He is, like, I remember seeing, like, old clips of George Lucas talking about the prequels. And I could kind of see, like, he talks about stuff in a way that's, like, enthusiastic, but also maybe a little doubt, and is that, like, you can kind of see how maybe if you worked with this guy on a daily basis, he could kind of suck you in.
Yeah, he's committed to his idea.
Definitely.
Yeah, he has a vision for good or ill. Rick Berman has nothing. Like, he is such a dreary interview, even. It just such a, like, terrible steward for Star Trek.
I mean, has any series been rescued by its actors more than Star Trek? Like, I remember those arguments about Next Gen when, I guess for a while they want, like, damn it, Patrick Stewart and McFadden were like, all right, I guess these characters are interested in each other romantically. And then suddenly the word comes down from head office, nope, no romantic interests. And they're like, what, we've been playing romantic interest. Why didn't you tell me? And then later there is more romantic interest. Like, they just being an actor on these shows sounds so frustrating.
Yeah, like, I think this will make for a great segue, guys. Holy shit. The best can be said about when, like, Voyager actually starts treating a character like they do with Seven of Nine.
Yeah.
Like, Seven of Nine enters the show to be the sex appeal to get more people to watch the show because there's a sexy Borg lady. Mm-hmm. But she proves to be one of the best Star Trek characters, full stop, because they find so many interesting things for her character, and because Jerry Ryan can bring it.
Yeah.
Yes.
They actually wrote for her.
Yeah.
Whereas they stopped writing for, like, half the rest of the cast.
Yeah, or they put these, like, self-imposed limits on so many people in the cast. Like, no romantic interests, no having an inter-conflict between crewmates, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, that even after that rule went away, you could tell it never... That's one aspect of TNG that never fully recovers. Even as the show gets better, there's still that weird, like, we all have to always get along.
Yeah. The Maquis and Starfleet are friends now on Voyager on episode 1.
Yeah, that should have taken a little longer.
Well, they remembered every once in a while that they should have a little bit of, like, annoyance and headbutting, but not often.
Yeah. 7 of 9. 7 of 9 in Germany.
Neat. Yeah, so
Cool.
we're going to do our character spotlight of 7 of 9. So thank you for sticking with us for a lot of Mirror Universe talk. If you've jumped to here because you linked from the blog, welcome to our 7 of 9 chat.
Now go back and listen to the rest of the episode. We had fun. You should too.
Yeah.
Was it fun?
Yes.
Carl, you're our guest. Do you want to go first?
Sure. I can go
do we want to
first.
start with goods? We start goods and then bads?
Yeah, it's
Sure.
the usual.
It's hard with 7 of 9 because I kind of like literally everything she does. But I found a few things. I think I thought of Relativity, where she goes back in time to prevent Voyager from blowing up in the... I forget what she does, but it was awesome.
It was awesome.
She goes
She
back...
banged Duquesne.
Yeah. And you know, she runs into Janeway, and Janeway doesn't recognize her, of course, and she has to like be a spy, and she has to comprehend time travel crap,
Right?
within
No one can.
seconds. Oh, no one except her.
7 of 9 to 7 of 9. What's your... Yep.
Yes. But it's just a perfect. I feel like that episode. That's about as crazy as you can get with time without it falling over. And 7 of 9 is a big part of why.
And she looks great in the uniform.
Looks great in the uniform.
Oh,
So good.
so
Oh, they
nice
should
to
have
see
put her in a
dignified uniform, isn't it?
I get like they should have just put her in one. They should have put Jolene Blaylock in one that fit.
Well, here's the thing. They're both, here's the guys. They're both incredibly attractive women.
Totally.
You could put them in a burlap sack and it would look
Yes.
hot. Just put them in the uniforms. It's still hot.
Plus, there's
Totally.
something to be said for leaving something to the fucking imagination.
And I like a lady in uniform, so everybody's happy.
I mean, she generally looked way better even in the civilian clothes they had her in Picard.
Oh, she
'Cause I
looks
just-
great in Picard.
Yeah, because I also just feel like good. I feel like she can breathe, and I am happy for her. I don't know. I want to know that someone is comfortable in their clothing too. You know, it's
Yeah,
to me it's
she's
less
definitely
sexy
earned
if
it.
I'm looking at someone and like they're probably in pain.
Well, yeah. That talk about the Star Trek bureaucracy.
Yeah.
If the costume you give your actor makes them pass out
Right.
twice in the same
Yeah.
day, you're under arrest.
Yeah,
But,
because of the blood flow of her
the
carotid
blood
artery,
flow.
that's
Exactly.
fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy.
yeah.
You shouldn't
Yeah.
be allowed to strap someone into this death suit. Like, don't look to the left too much. Oh, why? I won't be able to see? No, it'll literally stop your blood flow in a dangerous way. Oh, cool.
Yeah,
It's-
like
it's
the
crazy.
fucking the first two season TNG uniforms gave everyone severe back pain, but at least it didn't knock them out.
Yeah, and this is still going on with, you hear actors playing superheroes, and
Oh, no.
like you hear about stories of like, Patrick Warburton collapsed for like 10 minutes during filming of The Tick.
Jesus.
And
Holy shit.
he's like 50. I mean, it's just seems to be getting worse and worse.
We
But,
should be better at making them by now.
Exactly. I mean,
There should be
you can
rules
edit-
by now.
There should be
That
rules.
too. But it's
Yeah, really.
well,
Where's SAG-AFTRA on this one? Jesus.
Yeah. Hopefully that was in the strike deal.
yeah.
But I'm sorry I have derailed us. I
No,
I also
it's,
like
it's a good convo.
Carl, I
Yes.
love when you derail us, dude, honestly. You always
Good
have
to
such
hear.
good points to make, so no.
good to hear.
Yeah.
Another thing I like, I picked Seven's relationship with the Doctor. Not because the Doctor is great, but because I was watching Someone to Watch Over Me recently, and I noticed she is kind of good at like keeping him at bay until
Yeah.
she gets what she needs. This is the episode famously where it's like Pygmalion, and it's completely obnoxious.
Yep.
But her part in it is really great. Like she's like a sullen, teenager, and then she's like a star pupil, and then finally at a certain point she's like, "All right, I have given enough. I will now give you a what she does. She gives the Doctor a tricorder because she remembered him saying, "I wish I had a more efficient tricorder." And it's such a perfect thing because it's very off-putting, but it's considerate. And I think that's 7 of 9 at her best, often.
She does. She stands up to him also in
Body and soul.
Yeah, she. You're right. She is the one who will most frequently be like, "Stop being a dick."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And partly because I think she can be a dick herself. Like, she sort of knows. She's less afraid to challenge that. And one of my favorite 7 episodes is Human Error, where she basically monopolizes the holodeck to sort of imagine what her human personal life could be like. And it's just, I think it's a very poignant episode because if you think of Seven as like a cult survivor, this is the point where she sort of, if she was like working for Charles Manson and then like 2 or 3 years after she was being with him, she was like, boy, I helped kill some people. Like you could not take that all at once.
Yeah.
And the fact, speaking of the Doctor, at one point he says there, I didn't realize you had a personal life. And it's like, well, of course she has a personal life. And she sort of realizes that she can have even more personal life in human error.
Yeah, well, I think for the longest...
And Bang Chakotay.
Yeah.
For the longest time, she didn't let herself. Her life was just her work in her alcove.
Right, that's the Borg way,
Yeah.
It's only, that one scene in Human Error where she's staring at herself in the mirror and it's the Borg face. Like, it's, it's kind of hacky, but I think it's moving.
I'll go next. Yeah, she's a good character. I feel like there's a lot of decent stuff. I honestly don't know if I did the character justice, but I'm going to go with taking on the drones in Collective.
Oh, yay!
Especially Mazzotti, the best one. She's the one that finds the Herogen network in Message in a Bottle, which thanks to her sort of single-minded weirdness that everyone is like, she's so single-minded. It's like, yeah, well, she just found a way to call home, so fuck you.
Yeah.
And then the whole arc she has with that dude in Repentance by accidentally growing him a conscience and then trying to get his death sentence commuted. Because there was definitely a lot of sort of projecting her own self-loathing onto him that she had to get over.
Repentance is the one where the Doctor hypnotizes her?
No, it's the one where they end up taking on some prisoners from a.
Oh shit! I forgot about that one.
Yeah, and he
oh my god, that is a good one. I didn't
and he
think of that.
sustains an injury.
Yes,
and,
you're right. You're right.
They use Borg nanoprobes because magic, and it like basically rejiggers his brain because he was basically just a complete sociopath, and it rewires his brain so he suddenly like for the first time is like feels bad for everything he's done.
That's fascinating. I forgot about that episode.
Yeah, it's a good.
Nanoprobes. What can't they do?
Truth.
I got nothing. Go for it.
All right, I'll go. So I'm going to say holding the fort in 1.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's it's, obviously she does go a little crazy, but
who wouldn't?
But yeah, all work and no play make Homer something.
Crazy?
It's no
Don't
beer,
mind if I do.
no
beer,
and
no TV.
Make
Yeah.
Homer something.
Yeah.
Go crazy?
Don't mind if I do. Good episode.
Anyway, so yeah, 1. Yeah, I just think it was a good performance, and like she keeps the ship from being destroyed and lost in this void of space and everybody dying. So
and keeps Tom from dying because he got out of his tube.
That's right, several times. I'm gonna say at first. So this is an interesting case where at first she's doing it for the wrong reasons, but it turns out she was right. Not wanting Icheb to go live with his parents. When it turned out that they were just like at first she's doing it because like she's lonely and and feels parental sort of a parental instinct of her own over Icheb. But yeah, it turns out that Icheb's parents actually were shitheads and they were going to kill him.
Yep.
And if she had given up and been like, okay, well, I guess I lost, then he would have gotten assimilated again. But instead, she's like, yeah, actually, I'm going to follow up on this. Something's fucked up here. And she had to convince Janeway to go along with it. And then I'm going to say, I guess this is more of a Jerry Ryan-y thing than specifically a Seven thing, but in the episode Hope and Fear, that's the one with the Dauntless. Like a whole like B plot in that episode is Seven dealing with this idea that, oh shit, the ship is going back to Earth, and what am I gonna do? And she gets into like a big fight with Janeway about it. And I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I guess
That's
that
very
means
cool.
I'm next, huh?
Go for it.
So I also said her work in 1, in spite of all of her own personal, issues that she has to overcome. They do they do get through. She does make sure that everybody gets there safe, even though she she tells holographic Polana to tell her about sex with Lieutenant Paris.
She's learning.
Explain. I also said relativity was another good one, Carl.
Hooray.
Woot.
Saving the Enterprise, saving the Voyager from being blown up, and I mean, again, just like it's a really fun episode. And then what was the other one? I had this written down. Oh, similar to her taking on the Borgs and having a relationship with the Borglings. I know it's not a specific moment, but I really love her relationship with Naomi Wildman.
Oh, that is cute.
That's good, yeah.
I like them together. It's really nice, and it kind of like, despite like the things that she does to try to become more human and the things that people try to tell her to do to be more human and whatever, like somehow connecting with like this kiddo and just like being people kind of makes her more people. You know what I mean?
That's very cute.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it makes both characters kind of more interesting that they're...
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. They play off each other in the same way like a Tuvok and a Neelix play off each other. In that they're different, but they're going for they have the same goals.
Yeah.
And I liked that episode where the both of them, Seven and Naomi, I think it's at Bliss, where the both of them are the ones that not hallucinating nonsense because they're the ones that don't care about going home because there's nothing for them there.
Well, yeah, Seven. Neither of them have ever been.
Yeah, and that's fascinating. So good ones, Caitlin. I like those. I have a couple I want to bring up. The first one I'm going to bring up is, my favorite fucking one that hasn't come up yet. And that's that she's a great mom to one in Drone. And it's the cutest fucking thing. It's our good friend J. Paul Boehmer, as a Borg this time. And she learns how to, like, care for another Borg thing. She doesn't want him to go to the collective. And then he sacrifices to himself, and she has a massive sad, and they're so cute.
Yeah,
That's one of my favorites.
That episode somehow.
Well, I'm glad I get to bring it up then, because that is one of my favorites. And then a couple more. This one I just think warrants bringing up because it's another Seven thinking outside of the Borg cube. Wow, I did that without even thinking about it. And it's not even a great episode, but Seven's great in it, and that's Natural Law with that group of like early development culture, the Vantu.
Oh, right.
That live under a bubble effectively, and the people outside the bubble want to exploit them. And Seven's like, but wait, what if we shouldn't exploit them because that will destroy their culture? And Janeway and everyone on the ship is like, yeah, that's true, Seven. That's what we're aiming for. She said, I get it now.
Yeah.
And I like her in that. So that's another one, and I need one more, and it's gonna be, oh god, I love that too, shit, but I think it's gonna have to go to, just a silly cute moment, because why the fuck not, and that's in Night, when she's hollow playing some Captain Proton with Tom, and she turns off Satan's robot and says, I am Borg, and I love her the most I've ever loved her.
That is a great moment. Oh,
I forgot about that.
So did I. That's beautiful. Oh, Satan's robot. Love Satan's robot.
Yeah, and I actually struggled a bit more with the bad Seven moments, but there are definitely some.
Well, I think the tricky thing is it's kind of like Carl was saying earlier, like, it feels like when she does do bad things, it is often just because, like, she's, getting gradually cult deprogrammed. And it's like, yeah, she tries to call the collective back. But it's like, well, yeah, she's fucking freaked out. That's like 2 days after being de-assimilated, like, things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, go for Carl.
What bad things do you have, Carl?
One thing I always thought she never got called out on is her habit of calling people by their Borg designations. It's she'd be like, you're Tyrellian, species 65839. And it's like that
seems like a microaggression at least.
Yeah, that's got to be a hostile work environment.
Yeah. Sure.
And she went on long after. I mean, theoretically, she should have computer things in her head that she can set to tell her not to do that. Like, I think for whatever reason they didn't they didn't put a premium on that, and they should have. Voyager conspiracy. I love the Voyager conspiracy.
Oh, me too.
You
It's on
can
my list also.
because you see her malfunction and like you see conspiracy theory mindset, like you can see it before your eyes, kind of creep in. And the genius thing is, like, the first time she's right. Like, she's right about those bugs that were throwing off the
Photonic
sensors.
fleas.
Photonic fleas, yeah. And so she assumes from then on that she's going to be right on everything about, like, and it's such a perfect, like, internet troll bit of business. Like, and because Tuvok is the only kind of person who could withstand that kind of questioning, because, like, not only does he remember how much energy he used to blow up the thing, like, he remembers why, and, like, it just isn't enough. I love Voyager conspiracy.
That is definitely an episode that has aged in such a fascinating, because like you said, it's like internet conspiracy weirdos, but it's kind of before they were in government like they are now.
Right.
Like back then they were still Dale Gribble was a joke, not a state rep.
A candidate for Senate, yeah.
Yeah. So like that's another one that
exactly.
it's like it hits way different now than it did probably in 99 or whatever.
I remember, like, every Friday, like, after X-Files, there would be like this conspiracy theory documentary of the week. And it was shot a lot like those scenes in Voyager Conspiracy where, like, she starts talking about, like, the sun going out and then it fades into a simulation of the starship, and like it's just so brilliant. The last one I have is it felt wrong to leave it out, assisting in the assimilation of millions of species, even though that wasn't her, and yet it kind of was. Like, one thing
Borg.
One thing I like about this character is she is never exactly like anti-Borg. You know, she said many times, like, I still think like a Borg. I have a lot of affection for, like, the Borg environment, and I rely on it to keep me kind of steady in certain ways. So, like, she is not responsible for that, but she also kind of is. And I think they never did better in dramatizing that kind of question than they did with 7 of 9.
So I have some similar things. For Voyager Conspiracy, specifically, just like, she basically pulled an EMH. Like, we made fun of him for fucking with his own programming in that one episode. In Voyager Conspiracy, she breaks her own brain by trying to, like, overclock her processor, basically. Like, 7, you're smarter than that. You should have at least gotten some help.
Yeah, ask Torres to help.
Yeah. I know you like things when they're on both lists, Ames.
Well, and maybe she would have if B'Elanna wasn't so weirdly hostile to her all the time.
Also true.
Yeah, well, she really, if anything, should have gone to the doctor, because there's a biological...
Oh, no.
Yeah. Get the doctor for the biological part. Get, what was it, Kelly? Kerry. Get Kerry for the engineering section. So yeah, Ames will be on both lists. Human error!
Yay!
Just because, like, at first it's fine, but eventually she does start fucking her hollow coworker, which is weird. If it's weird when Barclay does it, it's weird when she does it.
Yup. At least make a fictional person. That's less weird.
Yeah, that's still kind of weird. That's still kind of weird, but I'll give it to you, Like, all right, fine. And I have a scaled back version of assimilation. And this does feel weird, because again, she's not fully herself, but survival instinct, where they're starting to break away, these crashed drones, and she's like, oh god, I'm becoming an individual. That scares me, and she reassimilates them and creates this little 3-person mini network, one of which I forgot was our boy Admiral Forrest, before he was Admiral Forrest.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But, so survival instinct, where she gives in to fear and reassimilates people who just wanted to be free. Because there was a little more conscious effort on her part there, which, again, you can argue is because she was raised effectively by this cult, but still.
Yeah. So yeah, to start with, I also had narking her friends in Survival Instinct, because creating that sort of mini collective, because it turns out that not only did she end up getting all of them reassimilated, it ruined their lives. Yeah. Like, they couldn't separate from that collective ever.
Yeah.
And they ended up basically having to just die. If you remember, like the ending of that episode is, okay, we can shut down the collective, but they're all going to die because their brains won't work without it.
Yep.
So she killed those people.
Mm-hmm.
So fuck that. I'm going to say when she, again, this goes back to when she's still Borg, I'll say, but in Scorpion, she does break the deal in the end and try to assimilate Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only Janeway being a step ahead with the, let's just zap her Borg implants if she tries anything. But she broke the deal, bust a deal, face the wheel. And then my last one, I think, is probably among the worst, and that is that whole thing where she was accusing that guy of assaulting her. I mean, it's really the doctor's fault because he like implanted a memory, sort of. So it's kind of the doctor's fault. It's definitely the doctor's fault. But I'm gonna say that Seven shares some fault in that because basically ruined that whole guy's life and career over bullshit.
And he dies again.
Yeah.
Cool.
Guess that's my cue, huh?
Do it.
So I also said Voyager conspiracy, and it's specifically because she overloads her own mind because she does the tinkering. So we've covered that. The reassimilation, as you just discussed, Jake. And my worst 7 of 9 moment, offering to sleep with Harry Kim.
Yes, I'm glad you said that one. Bitch, read the room. He's freaked out.
It's the also like the closest thing he's gotten to oh my god, a promotion.
Cool. Those are good. I have a couple that haven't been said. Because here's a weird, stupid thing Seven does for literally no reason. Literally because the plot needed it to happen. And that's in Dragon's Teeth. She walks into a room full of cryopods and decides to open them for no reason.
Right. I forgot about that.
It's so unnecessary. And it's like, clearly it's only because it needs to have happened. And Janeway asks her, why did you do that? And she's like, I don't know, it looked fun. 7, no, bad.
Science, bitch.
Parallel planet development.
I need a couple more. Oh, here we go. Here's one that, it's questionable whether it's good or bad, but in the end, I think she did it for bad reasons, and that's that she decides when we have a species 8472 on board, and I think it's the Tony Todd Hirogen, who's like, we want to capture that fucking thing, and Seven gives it to them.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Rude.
She's
rude
like, oh yeah,
bitch.
good idea. Here you go.
Here you go.
Torture the fuck out of this thing.
And sure, did it probably save the ship? Maybe. But Janeway didn't want to kill the thing, because, Janeway loves not killing other people. Unless they're her own crew.
Blowing up her ship.
And I need one more, and it's gonna be... Oh, when she got super, super into the Omega particle in the Omega Directive.
Yeah.
And, there was...
Sorry, go ahead.
There was no way they were going to stabilize that thing, honey. It was going to kill a lot of people. Stop it.
Yeah, that was actually that was my fourth.
Good one.
Your honorable mention.
Yeah, that's my dishonorable mention because just the fact that she becomes so fucking obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a fun character thing to watch, but you're like 7. You're smarter than this.
I do have a small dishonorable mention related to one of my tops.
Gasp.
And that is keeping the creepy twins as long as she did.
Oh, yeah. That's a poor choice.
She should have realized real quick, like, we gotta... Look,
leave them on a planet somewhere.
We can keep Ikeb and Mazadi, but these two gotta fucking go.
Still, Chris.
Yeah, these two, though, these shining-ass motherfuckers, like... Goddamn, Neelix turned a corner, they were holding hands, going, play with us forever. He was like, yeah.
Why was he on a little tiny tricycle?
I love kids, but this is crazy.
Actually, watching Neelix ride around the Voyager on a tiny tricycle would be pretty awesome.
Okay,
yeah, but I feel like
great.
he'd do it barefoot, and they'd like focus in on his feet, and I don't want to.
They're
Honestly,
better than Flock's feet.
I was expecting after having seen Phlox's feet, Neelix's feet are perfectly fine. I don't even remember what they look like anymore. It's been completely overwritten.
Well, I do.
It's been overwritten by Phlox's horrible cockroach carapace looking ass toenails.
I gotta tell you, I think I've actually repressed the memory of what his toenails look like. Because every time you guys bring it up, and I'm just like, was it that bad? I don't even remember.
It was.
So I think my mind has done its job and just put it away.
Yeah. You know what isn't that bad? We're almost done with Enterprise.
Hooray!
Yeah.
2 more weeks.
Congratulations.
We are down to 3 fucking episodes, which is crazy. Like, I just turned around, I was like, oh shit, what? It's almost gone. And next week, we have a 2-parter to see us almost out in the form of Demons and Terra Prime. And I did not see this coming, but it does make sense. Our character spotlight is Reginald Barclay.
Hooray!
Oh dear.
Because he was on Voyager more than he was ever on TNG.
And he had more. Well, yeah, this is going to be tough.
It'll be an interesting one. Join us next week for
Wait,
it.
have we done Reginald? Have we done
No.
that before? Oh, really?
No.
So are we gonna talk TNG as well? Or-
Yeah, so
could, yeah.
we can combo it.
Yeah, it's
Well,
wide open.
I just wanted to make sure. I don't want to do it wrong.
Yeah. Look forward to that. Follow us on Tumblr and your favorite podcasting application. And so far, Facebook, maybe it's we don't know if it's still being weird or not, but we live there, kind of.
They've just given up on Facebook, huh?
It's
nothing but olds now.
it just doesn't work well. But yeah, we work well. We work great. Special thanks again to Carl for joining us for this delightful little camp-ass romp.
Thank you for having me. It
Thank
was
you,
fun.
Carl.
Yeah,
And our
yeah.
delightful little camp-ass discussion.
Yeah.
I always love getting Carl is like so thoughtful and Carl, you're like one of my favorite guest stars. I can't say my
you're too
favorite because I
kind.
get in trouble, but I love when you're on. So please come again soon.
Anytime.
So yeah, until next week, this has been Table.
This has been Empress Ames.
This has been concubine Caitlin.
Oh no!
Oh, yes.
But you're seriously the one in control.
That's right.
And Jake.
What about you, Carl?
And Carl. I'm not supposed to talk too much. Because I already got the job.
You can talk right now. Do you have anything you want to plug, Carl?
Oh, no, there used to be a podcast called Battle Space 9, which was frequently, which had members of the I Started to Steer Her By podcast on it. I think I kind of took it down from the Podbean thing, but you can still find it on YouTube. Check out great episodes of talking about science fiction from the late 2000s. Just after, I was just realizing Enterprise ended the year before Battlestar started. So we're ending an era here.
Yeah.
Do you see a Quantum Leap podcast in your future?
A Quantum Leap
man.
Enterprise. Holy shit. Quantum Prize.
Oh boy,
Enter Leap. Enter Leap might be better.
So someone should do it without
Not
question.
me. I don't want to rewatch Enterprise.
No. No, I think short of these 2 episodes, I will probably never watch Enterprise ever again.
Yeah, it's
Twice in one lifetime is more than enough.
Yeah, we never get an evil. I mean, we get the Living Witness version, but
yeah.
we never get a Mirror 7. That was a shame.
That would have been interesting. Voyager was kind of campy enough as it is that like adding, not that it wasn't grounded, but like I just feel like it had actors with a lot of flair.
Living Witness was a better
Janeway on
way
down.
to do the Mirror Universe because they were uncoupled from needing to do the Mirror Universe. It's like, let's just do evil versions of the characters without it having to exist within this pre-established frame.
Yeah, you need a point for the Mirror Universe. It has to be like 90% like dumb, but then like a kernel of fun stuff in the center.
Yeah.
The food cubes at the center.
Yeah, the food cubes of thoughtfulness.
Mm-hmm.